This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 237 of The Real
We
Word.
send all of our clients their showing time information every single week.
We use it to report, to your point,
Absolutely.
the data to the sellers, like, oh my gosh, look at, here's the feedback, here's how many showings. And it's all living in showing time, and we're taking that information out.
That's the biggest thing, too, because if you have a seller that's like, you know, you guys suck, and you could be like, well, we've actually had 80 showings. Right. It's all very much there. There's no discrepancy about what has come in and what hasn't.
And now all that data that we have, we actually put it in our listing presentation, and our listing coordinator, Jen, she uses this every single week to keep our sellers informed. Not the automatic email that can go out from showing time, but actually taking the data out, putting it into a specific email that's easy for them to digest. All that data is now owned by Zillow. They own all the data. $500 million, by the way, seems cheap.
So cheap.
Their earnings came out yesterday. Earnings report was yesterday. When this news, I'm so glad we waited a little bit later in the week this week to do Real Word. I would have been devastated
if we missed it.
Had we recorded.
Well, you know that we would have been here no matter what. You've been like, Nicole, you would have dragged my ass into this office.
We're doing two this week because this is such big news. $500 million is cheap. Earnings report came out yesterday. Quarter 4 of 2020 was their most profitable. Everybody says Zillow isn't making money. They were profitable again in quarter 4. Their most profitable quarter ever.
Yep.
Now the profit is less than 10 times what this acquisition cost is. The reason their profit is so small is they keep buying up what no other broker owns.
Well, it sounds like I think 17.
I
think in that article it says that they've done 17 acquisitions. So they're even ones that we don't even know are happening that they're doing too.
This is a big one. Now, agent reactions. There's been some tears. There's been some crying. There has definitely
tears and crying are the same thing, but yes, there's been a lot of There's been some complaining. There's been a lot of finger pointing. People are very angry at NAR.
There's two Inman articles we can refer to. The one about the acquisition, obviously, you can read through that and get the details. Now, whether we're going to talk about this more.
You have to.
We can't talk about this whole show.
I have still so many questions.
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
So they're saying it's going to be an open platform. We can start speculating on, like, listen, and before I get to the agent reactions, one little thing, and we're going to talk about this more in the future. Here's the one thing and where people are scared of, right, is if you're in the Zillow Flex program like we are, we're a partner of Zillow, we're a growth partner, and we're getting live connect leads. Mm-hmm. Well, we schedule those showings.
Right.
Who's to say in the future now Zillow doesn't say, you know what, we're going to be better at actually setting the appointment. We're going to give you on the app the option to accept it. If you don't accept it, it goes to the next Uber driver to accept.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, that is now worth another 10% on top of the referral fee you're already paying us because we're doing more of the work.
It's
now,
not
I think Zillow's still gonna. I mean, listen, and one of the brokers, you know, things that they say, which is true, and is a big concern, even if you're a Zillow partner like we are, is that they're going to potentially turn the agent into a guide, not the expert in the local area. Mm-hmm. And if you're just a guide, then they're sending a guide over. And this is something that a lot of brokers are saying. But by the way, brokers, 15 years ago, you didn't do anything to actually compete with them to stop this from happening. On my Instagram, and he said, you know, all these agents that have, you know, funded Zillow over the years. No. Let's get something straightened out right now. And again, he goes by Red Hot Naples. I like him a lot. Let's get something straight right now. Agents didn't fund Zillow. The consumers were going to Zillow's app before the agents gave Zillow all their money to take some leads and go and work with those leads. Zillow did a better job than any broker, than any MLS, than any team, than any solo agent in the history of real estate at generating leads.
Right.
And the person that holds the leads, the company that has the leads, wins. All the brokers are like upset about Zillow. Why weren't they upset with the relocation companies who take 48%? Because they were in bed with the relo company. Right. A significant amount of data into showing time, and that she is concerned Zillow is now going to be able to harness that information. I also heard this
it's all the data. Yeah.
on an Instagram comment as well, saying, I am not selling my database to Zillow. I'm not selling my contacts to Zillow. I don't want to give all of my people my emails and names over to Zillow. Newsflash, they already own them. 3 out of 4 of your contacts in your database have already signed up for a username on Zillow.
Right.
So Zillow, yeah, you've got those contacts in your database, and you maybe know and like and trust and whatever, a bunch of them in your community, but 75% of them have also signed up, the people that you know in your database, for a username on Zillow. And by the way, maybe they've got Redfin downloaded
Or-
with agent reactions. One little thing, and we're gonna talk about this more in the future. Here's the one thing, and where people are scared of, right, is if you're in the Zillow Flex program like we are, we're a partner of Zillow, we're a growth partner, and we're getting live connect leads. Well, we schedule those showings.
Right.
Who's to say in the future now Zillow doesn't say, you know what, we're going to be better at actually setting the appointment. We're going to give you on the app the option to accept it. If you don't accept it, it goes to the next Uber driver to accept.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, that is now worth another 10% on top of the referral fee you're already paying us because we're doing more of the work. This leads us to, why did Zillow actually buy showing time? Was it for the data? Was it for to directly schedule appointments with consumers? What was the reason directly from Zillow? And so, Bonner, Zillow's, one of Zillow's executives on this panel, said that it came down to one thing. And Zillow always says this.
One thing.
We are directly doing everything for the consumer. That's the one thing the showing time acquisition came down to, the consumer. Not to sound like a broken record, she said, but we've always looked at the consumer. How can we help them through the entire process of finding a place to live? And how can we make that easier and smoother? I got to talk to a lot of people in Dallas. I got to talk to, so it's no surprise to me.
Yeah.
Zillow is trying to allow consumers to handle more of the transaction on their own. They are who we thought they were. That's not a shot. That is just a fact.
Yep.
And it shouldn't be a shock to you.
I'm sure it's a little bit of data driven too.
Yeah, why not?
100%.
A little cherry on top of the data. Good for you, Zillow.
Good for you. I mean, I think we said that though over a year ago.
I don't think it's a racket. We've said it before. It is what we thought it was.
I'm actually surprised it took this long for them to squeal about it.
To actually just come out on a panel and say, maybe a slow weekend.